Howdy y'all, and welcome to Lex Lives. I think it's time we play a little Ark. Alright. A little Ark Ragnarok. So, I had zero time to play before today, unfortunately, which means I don't have a lot of supplies going in today. 56, that's enough to make my sword, right? I just need more hide. Really? I need more hide still? Well, then I guess we're gonna get some more hide. Let's go, buddy. Let's find some things to get hide off of. Yeah, it's turned into a crazy couple of days here for me. And, so I wonder if I get more hide from me than this guy. Someone's been kind of irritating, actually. So we, my sister and her husband, they took off for the weekend, and she took off Monday and Tuesday as well, and so she said since they wouldn't be here on Sunday, she wanted to play on Monday, which means I have to take off work. Not take off work, but delay work, I guess, which means instead of having my normal day off, I have to work on my day off, and which I guess I was okay with. And then, you know, they got sick and had to stay an extra day. And so then last night, well, no, when they called yesterday saying they were on their way home finally, I asked if we were going to play today, and what time-ish we were going to play today. And so they said sometime in the afternoon, early afternoon. They didn't want to play too late, and I'm like, all right, well, then I guess I'll just do today then, as my day that I don't work on anything. Oh, I have gone halfway into the rocks there. Okay, now we're going to jump off here, and I am going to hit this thing with my axe, if it stays still long enough for me to hit with my axe. And, okay, so I got a bunch of hide off of that guy. So, I'm like, alright, well, I'm fine with that. And so then last night I was working on videos, and I got a later start than I wanted to, and so I was actually going to record this last night, and then I thought, well, no, if I don't work tomorrow, I can just get up early in the morning and work on this in the morning. And so instead of, well, no, I'm sorry. Let me start that over. So I was going to record this video yesterday because I knew I wouldn't have time for it today. And so the guy who runs my Tuesday D&D, we finished the campaign we were on, because we're doing pre-built campaigns, last Tuesday, so a week ago. So he's had a week to prep the next one, and so he sends a message, and I told the other guy that plays with us, I'm like, yeah, there's probably a very large chance that we're not going to be playing for the next 2 weeks. And he's like, why is that? I'm like, well, I can't make it next week, so, I mean, you guys might do something, but I'm not going to be available next week. And And I'm like, there's no way he has stuff ready. There's no way... Oh, did you eat that up in one bite? No way he has stuff ready to go for this week. And they're like, well, he has a week. Yeah, well, I don't believe he's even attempted to look at it because I tried to get him to make his decision last week what we were doing and he wouldn't do it. And so I get a message. I get a message about 3 in the afternoon Monday, and it says, this is the week you can't make it, right? And I'm like, yep, we are totally not playing this week. And I'm like, nope, that's still next week, as I have written in the same message board you're looking at right now 3 times. This will be time number 4 of letting you know that I can't make it next week. Well, I'm busy and I forgot. I'm sorry, it's in the message board. You just have to scroll up. I'll let my stamina roll up here a little bit, I think, before I knock myself out. And, so then he sends a message shortly after that that says, if we want to continue with our current characters, then we can't play this week unless we want to roll new characters. So I took from that statement that if we wanted to keep our existing characters, which are level 5... Is something else attacking me? You fall dead. There is something else attacking me. Oh, and I don't have my thing. Here. Get off my guy, you stupid pego. So I take from that statement that if we want to play, we have to roll new characters. Because, and this is why, he has run us through a single pre-built, not by him, but someone else, campaign with pre-existing maps. Not built by him, but loaded in from someone else. And so I'm assuming he wants us to start over because most of the campaigns start at level 1. And there's a few that start at like level 8, but we're level 5. And I told him a bunch of them also can start at level 3, and you can skip the level 1 to level 3 stuff. And I told him it would be okay just to run our level 5 guys through level 3 stuff. It would just be easier for us to start. But it would quickly turn into, you know, appropriate level content, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But I don't think he likes that idea. And so, even though he made me, well, he didn't make me, but even though I stayed and talked with him for 2 hours after our session last week about what we were doing this week, he did not make a decision on what we were going to do. And so what he meant by, if we want to keep our characters, we can't play this week unless we roll new characters, was, we're not playing this week, and we can only do something tomorrow night. If you want to roll new characters, then we can discuss rolling new characters tomorrow night. That's not what he said. He said, if we're keeping our existing characters, we can't play unless we roll new characters. No commas, no nothing. That's all it said. And so, instead of working on videos like I had intended, I start sending him messages. And for the next 45 minutes to an hour, I was asking him what was going to be allowed, what kind of, you know, campaign it was going to be, what, are we using just the player's handbook? Are we using the revised rules that have come out since the player's handbook? You know, are we using homebrew stuff, which means someone else made it up? And I wanted to know what classes the other people were playing. so that I wouldn't pick the same exact class, because, I mean, that's fine to have two of the same thing, but I like a little more variety in what your group can do. And so, you know, he's sort of answering the questions. A lot of the questions are being answered with one-word answers, and so after he says, well, I'll just, you know, I'm thinking... actually, I don't think he said he was thinking anything. I think he said something like, I asked him a string of questions, and he answered, no, yeah, or no, no, yes, yes, no, and then capital Y-A. And the last question I asked him was, what class was he thinking of playing? And so I responded with, what's a YA? I'm like, are you saying young adult? You're going to play a young adult? I'm not sure that's a class, but whatever. And so then he responds back that no, since I don't know why he gave me an extra yeah on the list, he was going to play some other classes instead. And I'll be surprised if either one of those turn, yeah. And so, so I'm like, all right. So he gives me the classes he wants to play. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna give it some thought. And he's like, we can just discuss this tomorrow night when I get home from work. And I'm like, well, if we're gonna play tomorrow night, I'd prefer to have something, you know, the new characters ready to go, so I have some idea what I want to do. And he's like, we're not playing tomorrow night. And I'm like, what do you mean? You said we were playing tomorrow night if we made new characters. That's the whole reason I've been here for an hour, making sure I chose something that fits in your campaign. No, we're not playing tomorrow night. I meant that if you wanted to roll up new characters. And so can't get him to make up his mind if he wants us to start over from scratch or pick up with the characters we got. He won't answer us, and it's driving me crazy. And so he just canceled tonight's session, and I can't make it next week, which we've known since last month. And so that means 2 weeks in a row, and I doubt he has anything ready to go in 3 weeks at this point. Well, 2 weeks from now, but dude, I wasted over an hour with him over tonight's non-existent session. I guess if you want to hang out and chat with him at 10 o'clock, though, he'd be ready to go for that. But no, he doesn't have time in a week to have anything else ready. So that was pretty irritating to me. Because what that meant was, well, I mean, it meant that I now have time to record tonight, which I'm doing. Right now is my normal D&D time with him. Well, as normal as you can get D&D with him. And so... Oh, that really looked like a rock I could harvest. This also looks kind of like a rock you could harvest, but it's not. How about this one over here? Nope. Oh. So, I think I put some stone in here. So then we get to last night, and my sister and brother-in-law get back about 1:30 in the morning, somewhere around there. And so I'm like, because they called, and when they called, I asked, are we going to play tomorrow? Because I have to schedule around that. It's not like my life is just empty, devoid of things, waiting for other people to decide to do something. although they sure act like it. And so they're like, yeah, probably in the afternoon, pretty early. We don't want it to be too late. So I'm thinking, well, before supper. Supper is usually like, you know, sometime between 6 and 8 p.m. because that's not scheduled. And so I wonder if this guy can get berries and stuff. I really don't have a berry gathering dino. Not really very well. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to get a berry gathering dino. Well, no, I grow my own berries. Let me see what kind of berries or food I've got here for you guys. Not the carrots, but maybe you guys eat some citronella. Maybe some potatoes. Definitely some corn. And I think I got maho berries here. Oh yeah. Just want to make sure there's plenty of food for you in the trough here. There you go. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna want to play. Like I said, in the afternoon before dinner. We don't want it to go too late. All right, you know what? I need... How much... Oh, I don't think I clicked on the thing I wanted to click on. 44. So I got plenty of that. So I need to go get some rocks. So that I can make some arrows. I guess I'll probably need some wood and stuff. Some thatch, I think, is required as well. Here we go. So I'm thinking, alright, so if we're going to start early, like around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, because if dinner's at 8, which I don't believe it would be with my sister home, so if dinner's around, I'm thinking 7, then that means we're going to have to quit by 6, and it takes them forever to do anything. So if we can start at like 2, that'll get us like 4 hours in. And we might be able to get through 2 encounters in 4 hours. There are a lot of pauses when it comes to people's turns because they don't have that make a decision or think about your turn before it gets to your turn. Which I try to make sure I have some idea what I'm doing before I get there. My turns happen I took my turn and attacked twice and rolled to see when my next turn falls because we use a new version of initiative before my sister could decide whether or not she was going to cast a spell. And that's like picking guys I'm attacking, rolling the dice, rolling the damage dice, and then rolling the movement dice to see when I was going to move. And all before... And I still had to sit there and wait for her to decide if she was going to cast a spell or not. Although her turns did go a little faster this week because she cast a spell where she just uses her action. But then she had to decide where she was going to cast the spell. And, yeah, but, how many flint is that now? Oh, I got plenty of flint. I am in desperate need of thatch, though, probably. Yeah, let's see if we can't find a tree in the dark here. Wait. I can't see, the hill is too tall. You know, there is a tree up here, up top of this hill. I feel really short, man. I don't know what it is running through this grass that's making me feel so short. Because the hill is just that steep. Yeah, so that was the decision that was made. And so I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. If I get up at my normal time, I could probably get in about after breakfast and waking up and, you know, getting ready for the day. I could probably get in about an hour of work. And I'm like, or I could just sleep an extra hour. And so I decided I'm going to take an extra hour of sleep before I get into DMing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take the actual day off. That is what I'm going to do. So I told them, because they were up. They were up when I woke up the first time, and they said they were going to sleep in and then go get their kid from the babysitters. I saw another tree. I thought I saw another tree. Did I not see another tree? I guess I didn't. I thought I saw another tree over here that I could get a little more thatch off of. Must have been a cloud. Weird. So I go back to bed for another hour, and then I hear all this noise, and I'm like, oh, they must have went and got their kid, because I assume that's the niece and nephew running around, and I'm like, so probably a good time to get up and eat breakfast now. And so I go upstairs, and they've brought the neighbors' kids over for the day. And they don't even say anything to me, even though I had confirmed that we were playing in the afternoon. And I'm like thinking, well, the neighbors' kid's going home soon. And then my brother-in-law is like, yeah, I gotta feed him lunch. I don't know what I'm gonna make him for lunch. And they're not gonna be here that long. So I'm like, all right. So I grab breakfast. I go down, or I come down here, and I'm eating breakfast, checking my emails. I'd been watching a documentary, and so I started watching that again, and I'm like, well, maybe I can get in some of my work day, and then that way I have, oh man, fiber, really? That's a little easier to get. Maybe I can get some of my workday done, and before we get started here, and then that gives me less to. Do these count? No, these little orange flowers don't count, but these do. Plants I can barely see in the dark. Okay, there you go. All the fiber you can want. Where am I, and where is the water? Because I'm thirsty. You know, I've got water at my house. Just head back to the house. And so I start working, and I'm working, and I'm working, and I'm working, and I'm working. Now I've started almost 2 hours later than I normally start. And I'm working, and I'm working, and I'm working, and about 2.5 hours in, my nephew comes down, and I'm like, oh, well, they're about ready to start finally. And I'm like, this will get me at least half a day completed, and so that won't be so bad for my day off, having to work a little over half a day, because I'm gonna get an hour of training this week, and so I've got an extra hour of work to make up. No, it's my nephew and the neighbor kid wanting to know if they can watch me record videos. And I'm like, well, I'm working. And I'm thinking, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon now. I thought they weren't going to be here that long. Why is that kid still here? And so they go running back upstairs, and I go back to work. And I'm wondering, man, how long are they going to be here? They've been here for like 4 hours at this point. Almost 5. And you said they weren't going to be here that long. And, yeah. And then we get going. Or no, and so I continue working. And about, another 2 hours go by, and I hear footsteps again. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, now it's like almost probably about 4 in the afternoon at this point, because I normally get up about 10 to start work, or normally start work at about 10, and 10:30, somewhere in there, and So I need an Argentavis. We talked about this last week. I just had to get the supplies for one to shoot one down. So now we've got to make it back over to where Argentavis live. Somewhere out here as it gets lighter. And so, you know, I'm getting pretty perturbed at this point, because if I'd known... Actually, I'm very perturbed by the time it gets to about 4 o'clock, because if I'd have known we weren't going to start 3 hours earlier like they told me, I would have gotten up earlier and just put in my normal work day. And the only reason I knew I could record tonight was because the other guy just randomly canceled the thing that we had planned a week in advance. So I'm irritated by that as well, and so I'm not particularly happy the longer this day goes on. And I took a bathroom break. I went upstairs, and just as I was about to go back down, my brother-in-law goes, "Yeah, they're gonna go home soon." And I'm like, it's like 4:30 in the afternoon. They're gonna go home soon, and so I figured I'll just make big spaghetti for dinner, since you guys had spaghetti yesterday, and then we can have dinner early, and then we can play after that. I'm like, all right. So I go back downstairs. I complete an entire day's worth of work today, and I finish up about 7 o'clock. And then they call down, and they're like they called down. I had about 10 minutes worth of work left to do for the day, and told me it was dinner time. And so I finished my being called to dinner is a whole nother animal, but I finished my work off. So I put in a full work day today, even though I started 2 hours later than I normally do, because people told me we were going to be doing something, and then we didn't. And then the other guy who we normally do stuff with on Tuesday night told me we were going to do something, and then we didn't. And that really irritates me, because I went out of my way to prep things so that I would have yesterday and tonight clear, and they both just at the last moment told me no. I mean, all right, I'll give a pass on the fact that, yes, you were sick and couldn't come home to play on Monday. That's fine. I understand that's an emergency thing. But knowing a week ahead of time and not doing anything until the night of, or the morning of, 12 a.m. would be the morning of. So at 12 a.m. he still hasn't decided what we were doing on Tuesday night. Is this water? Okay. It just looked very green. I wasn't sure. You know what, Buzzard? I hit spacebar like 4 times over top of the land. I don't know what you're doing. Not gonna lie, this looks like a perfect beaver pond. I wish there were beaver here. That would stop my hunt for an Argentavis. I got one more little story I want to tell before we quit. Also mildly irritating to myself. As you know, I like to complain. And so this is another one that irritates me every time it happens. I believe the people I know might be incapable of understanding English in its written form. I have to believe that that is true, which is weird for people with college degrees, graduate school degrees, and avid readers, that they're incapable of reading the instructions on an electronic device. It's just weird that they can't read the instructions on the electronic devices. So yesterday I go upstairs, I wake up, I go upstairs to get breakfast before I start work, and my mother's sitting at the kitchen table, and she goes, "Just the person I was looking for." And I hate that, because every time she says that, that means she wants me to do something. Every time. "Just the person I was looking for." I'm like, alright, what do you need? And she says, "I'm about to pull all my money out of this bank and go to a new bank." I'm like, okay, why? Because that doesn't tell me any actual information that's useful to me. It drives me crazy. It's like you gotta play 20 questions to get out of them the thing they want you to know. Every time. And it's not just my mom, it's all of them. Everything is like this big, complex, long question and answer session. So saying, "Just the person I'm looking for," and I say, "What do you need?" And they say, some random story that, well, I guess not random, some related story to the thing that I actually need you to do, but not the thing I need you to do. Every time. And so she tells me she wants to pull her money out of the bank. Well, now I'm wondering if, like, maybe her bank account got hacked and she lost money, or her checkbook isn't adding up, because that happens occasionally. And she gets really mad at the bank, like it's the bank's fault. It's always the bank's fault. And so what it is the bank, when you do online banking, has authentication feature where you enter your username and password. But you can only enter your username and password on authorized devices. And so sometimes your device updates, or your IP address changes or something, and it's no longer listed as an authenticated device, and so you have to re-authenticate the device. And that is what she's sitting on the screen, and it says on the screen, "As a security measure, we wish, we want to make sure that this device is properly authenticated." And there's only one button on the screen, and it says continue. And so I'm like, alright, well, you're gonna have to re-authenticate your device. And she's like, "I don't understand why I can't just enter my username and password. Every time I go to get on here, I've been trying for 3 days to get this to work. 3 days I can't get onto my own bank information because they want to call my phone." I'm like, okay, well, obviously she made it that far. So you click a couple buttons, you click continue. The next page says that they need to send you, or they will send you a code, and they need you to input the code into the system. And you can either get the code, you can either have them call you and repeat the code from from the web page that they're about to give you, or you can receive a text message with the information, and then you call them. Those are your two options. There are two options on the screen. You either click on the first one or the second one. So I click the first one. Call us. The phone rings. I pick it up. The phone says, please enter the code or say the code. I say the code that is on the screen. It's like 5 numbers. And then they're like, thank you. You may now click the button that says, I have completed the phone call. You click that. The next page is enter your password. I entered the password. I click continue. It logs into your online banking information. It's not an amazing complex process. The English language instructions are on the screen. She refuses to read them every time. Drives me crazy. Because she's mean about it. She's always mean, like it's my fault. Just the person I need to see. Like, I picked the bank. I want to just pull my money out of that bank you go to. Okay. I didn't tell you to choose the same bank I went to. That was your choice, not mine. Sorry you can't work simple electronics. Not my fault. Alright. With that, I'm gonna call it a day. Because it is getting pretty late, and I'm already gonna be later than I'd prefer, probably getting all this stuff done. That, and I've already gone over 7 minutes of my normal... Who are we kidding? I'm always over time. Yeah. I was kind of hoping to run into an Argentavis out here, not next to the wyvern hole in the ground that got me killed last time, so... but with that, click like if you like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one, and I will talk to you later.